Okay, let's get right into it. If you've ever felt like your career's just on autopilot, or maybe even worse, just plain wrong, we're going to break down a really systematic way to find the work you were actually meant to do. And believe it or not, it all starts with a nap. So let me tell you about this guy, Brian. He's fresh out of grad school, maybe 25 years old, and he lands this super prestigious job as a structural engineer at a top company. I mean, this is the dream, right? Well, not so much. The work, it was so mind-numbingly boring, just running calculations on a computer all day long. And one afternoon, he just couldn't take it anymore. He literally snuck off to the office bathroom to take a nap.
So there he is, right? He sits down, leans his head against the wall, and just as he's about to drift off, he hears something. A deep, steady snoring coming from the stall right next to him. Someone else was already asleep on the job. And for Brian, that sound, man, that was a louder wake-up call than any alarm he'd ever set.
And in that moment, everything just clicked into place. He realized he wasn't just tired. He was on the exact same path to becoming that guy in the next stall. He goes back to his desk, and he really looks at his senior colleagues. Guys with graying hair who'd spent their entire lives in that tiny cubicle, doing that exact same work. He thought, is this my future? A life so uninspired that napping in the bathroom becomes a necessary survival skill? No way.
That was it. That moment set off a 10-year journey for Brian. And look, this wasn't some random, I'm going to quit my job and follow my dreams kind of thing. Nope, it was a systematic, step-by-step process to figure out what he was actually meant to do, and it all begins by rethinking what we're even looking for in the first place. Okay, so this is really the crucial point. We have to completely redefine the word talent. You know, we hear that word and our minds immediately jump to like Michael Jordan or Mozart, some kind of god-tier genius that feels totally out of reach for us normal people. But that's not what we're talking about here. Not at all. So let's just reframe this whole idea. Forget about the 1 in a billion genius. Real, useful talent is way more accessible than you think. Imagine it like this. It's any natural aptitude that, with just a little bit of practice, puts you ahead of, say, 75% of other people. See? It's not about being a superhero. It's about finding where you have a relative edge.
So how do you actually spot these things in yourself? Well, you got to become a kind of detective of your own life. Brian started digging into his past. He went to a primary school reunion, and guess what his old classmates remembered? Not his grades. They remembered that he told the best stories during show and tell. Then at a college reunion, all his female friends said the same thing. Oh yeah, Brian was the best at fixing our computers. Not because he was some tech genius, but because he was the only one who was patient enough to actually talk them through fixing it over the phone step by step. He was great at making complicated stuff simple for people. And boom, that's a talent.
Okay, now this leads to an incredibly powerful idea called talent stacking. And here's the key. You don't need to be the absolute best in the world at one thing to be world class. You just have to be pretty good at a few different things.
Let's say you find 3 skills where you're naturally in that top 25%, right? Maybe you're a good communicator. You've got a pretty good eye for design. And you're also decent at organizing projects. None of those on their own makes you a genius, right? But when you start to combine,
that's when the magic happens. You become incredibly rare. The math here is really simple. Being in the top 25% for one skill means you're better than 3 out of 4 people. But you stack 3 of those skills together, you are suddenly in the top 1.56% of people in the entire world with that unique combination. You've basically just manufactured a world-class and super valuable skill set out of thin air.
But you know, finding your talent stack is really only half the battle. To fuel this whole journey, you need the other half, passion. And just like with talent, we've probably been thinking about it completely wrong.
We've all been sold this idea that passion means a job that's always fun, where you just whistle while you work. But the word's actual origin tells a totally different story. It comes from the Latin word for to suffer. Seriously. Passion is about the pain you are willing to go through for something you believe in so deeply. Just think about it. A great designer, right? Do you really think they enjoy spending 20 miserable hours tweaking a 20-minute presentation? Of course not. The process can be absolutely grueling, full of frustration, hitting dead ends. But they push through because the meaning of that final result drives them. That is real passion. The struggle you choose to embrace because you believe so strongly in the outcome.
Okay, so you're starting to figure out your talents. You're redefining what passion means to you. But how do you actually make a change in your life without taking some terrifying, giant leap of faith? Well, you use this brilliant, ancient strategy. You cross the river by feeling for the stones one at a time.
Brian's career path shows us exactly how this works in practice. I mean, look at this. He didn't just quit his engineering job to become a business consultant overnight. That would have been total career suicide. Instead, he spent 10 years making these small, calculated moves, from engineer to project planner to project manager. Each one was like a safe step to the next stone in the river. It's a really simple method. He saw the project managers doing things he was interested in, like communicating and presenting. So what did he do? He volunteered to help them out. That got him some experience, which led to an actual role as a project engineer, then a project planner, and so on. See? Each move was a low-risk experiment. He was building on what he already knew while slowly inching closer to the work that truly fit his talent stack and his real passion.
So, as you start thinking about your own journey, how can you tell if you're actually on the right track? Well, there's a really simple test for that.
Okay, be totally honest with yourself on this one. You hear on the news that a typhoon is forecast for tomorrow, meaning you might get a day off from work. What is your very first gut reaction? Is it this little feeling of relief, of hope? Do you find yourself secretly praying for that day off?
Or is your reaction the exact opposite? Do you actually hope the storm just passes by quickly so it doesn't mess up the project you're really excited about? They call this the typhoon test, and your honest answer tells you more about your job satisfaction than any performance review ever will.
Look, the goal here isn't just to stop napping in the bathroom at work or to stop praying for typhoons. That's a low bar. The real goal is to find work that's so deeply aligned with who you are that it fundamentally changes your relationship with the very idea of effort.
Because when you finally find what you are truly meant to do, when you're using that unique stack of talents on a mission that you find deeply meaningful, you stop having to fight for self-discipline. Motivation is no longer the problem. The challenge becomes stopping yourself. And let me tell you, that is a much, much better problem to have.